Welcome to Tower Talk Business Radio on the voice of Nassau Community College 90.3 WHPC. Tower Talk Business Radio brings you conversations with the top business minds on Long Island and around the nation, including expert consultants and small business owners who have found success, but are also willing to share their top tips, failures, and give gritty, matter-of-fact advice based on their first-hand experience. And now, let's get down to business with Tower Talk Business Radio, powered by the Nassau Community College Foundation.
Hello, and welcome to Tower Talk Business Radio, powered by the Nassau Community College Foundation. My name is Ray Schwetz, AVP of Nefke Business Banking, along with Donyshia Boston-Hill, CEO, Keeper of the Brand, Marketing and Digital Agency, and we're focused on being the premier resource for business and entrepreneurship.
Ray and I bring you weekly business advice, tips, tools, and services that help you grow your business. Plus, we interview the top business leaders in the industry. Now, so hey, Ray, I read this week an interesting quote from Will Rogers, and it really made me chuckle and laugh, and I wanted to share with you.
Okay.
It stated, income tax has made liars out of more Americans than golf.
All right, that is pretty funny, yeah. Honesty is the best policy, right? But I plead the fifth on my golf game. Yeah, I mean, even though the taxes hurt the paycheck, you get what you pay for, right?
I wonder what Tiger Woods would say about that.
Yeah, I don't know.
He's not doing too well all around.
Yeah. Maybe I should pay for some golf lessons, though.
Maybe you should pay for him a relationship manager.
Yeah, all right. I think he needs it. I think
he's a good ladies' man, but I don't know about the home life.
Yeah. Well, can't win them all.
You can't.
Yes, except if you're our next guest.
Woo! And she's amazing.
She's pretty awesome. I think she could win it all.
I think so.
Yes. Helping provide us with business empowerment today is our guest. She is Karen Tenenbaum. She is of Tenenbaum Law, PC, tax attorneys. Now, Karen, who I've known for a little while, she has been an attorney for over 35 years. She founded Tenenbaum Law, PC, which helps individuals and businesses facing IRS and New York State tax problems. Karen and her team have successfully represented clients in matters that include federal and state audits, IRS appeals, collection issues, including liens, levies, warrants, seizures, and more. Lions, tigers, and bears, oh my. She is a frequent speaker and a source for IRS and New York State tax issues for numerous professional groups, and that's how we met. Her knowledge and leadership have established her as a leading tax attorney in the New York area, and she's often quoted in numerous articles in the Bloomberg Business News, Money Magazine, Long Island Business News, and the Daily News. Wow. I'm exhausted just from saying all of her accomplishments. So, Karen, welcome aboard. Thank you for coming on the show.
Wow, that was some introduction. Thank you so much, Ray and Donyshia, for having me on the show. What a great opportunity.
You earned the intro. Wow.
And I would be remiss if I did not add how I met Karen through the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Business Program. And she is no quiet storm. She is a force to be reckoned with, ladies and gentlemen, and a great all-around spirit. Someone who is a mover and shaker, not only on Long Island, but around the world. And Ray and I are just excited to have you grace us.
We're blessed to have you. Thank you.
I feel the same way about you, Donyshia. When I met you, a force of energy. I met you initially because Paisley invited me to dinner on Blanc.
Woo!
And I went to the Garden City Hotel when you had your press day.
Yes.
And everyone was in white, and I didn't know anything about this. And I said, wow, this woman is phenomenal, not knowing yet that you had been through the Goldman Sachs program and that I was going to meet you face-to-face again at the summit in Washington, D.C. in February.
How about that?
When we're meeting billionaires, we're meeting Mayor Bloomberg, and we're meeting Warren Buffett, and we're meeting Sarah Blakely from Spanx, and we're meeting Richard Branson from Virgin. And all of these people were amazing on stage, but I got to meet you in person.
Oh.
And I thought you were phenomenal.
And now here you are.
And Ray, I met through the Nick Papp Tax Symposium every November. We 700 accountants come to the Crest Hollow Country Club for 3 days of seminars, and I'm often presenting on tax topics since they started, 15, 16 years ago.
Yes.
And every year I get to see Ray. He has an exhibit for Nephew.
Oh, yeah.
And so we have spoken many times about teaching children about money, because that's one of my passions in addition to being a tax attorney.
Yep.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, take out your pen and paper. This is going to be a ride.
Yep, get ready.
So thank you again for having me.
Thank you. Oh, we're very excited. Now, tell us how you got started in doing what you're doing.
So I'm a CPA, I'm an attorney, and I have an LLM in tax. Mm-hmm. And I grew up in a family of closely held business. My father and my two brothers are in business together, mm-hmm. and we always would sit around the kitchen table and talk about business. And so it just seemed natural for me to get into a field that helped small businesses and individuals have a better life, be able to sleep at night. And I was going for accounting, and one of my accounting professors was also an attorney. And he said, I think everyone should also be an attorney. So I said, okay, that's good advice. I'm going to do that. So I went on to law school, and then I went on for my LLM in tax at NYU. And so I kept narrowing it down to tax, more and more tax.
Why tax?
I love tax. I have to tell you. So first, I'm a numbers person, and also it's not boring. Most people, like my husband, will say, "Oh my God, a room of 100 accountants. How could that be exciting?" And I think it's the most exciting, and I'll tell you why. First of all, there's humor in tax. And you get to, as I said, help people. So when I do a residency audit or a sales tax audit, I'm getting involved in someone's life. So they might own a restaurant, and this is their livelihood. And now New York State comes in. Perhaps they're a little bit aggressive, and I come in and I try and smooth the ground there, make everything feasible and realistic for everybody. So if they end up owing sales tax, let's enter into an installment agreement that they could live with. Let's do something that works. That's seasonal, perhaps. So if you have a restaurant and you have to make payments, maybe you could make them, Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, the heaviest time of the year, and maybe it's a little slow in January, and then we'll get started again in February. So I try and do what helps and works best for everybody. At the same time, so I'm a numbers person. When you do a residency audit, you're actually reading someone's journal. You are learning every aspect of their life. So these are snowbirds. These are people who claim to live in Florida. New York State says they live here. So they're 6 months there, they're 6 months here. And so we come in and we have to establish a pattern of life. So we learn about everybody's lives. And it's so fascinating. And I find that there is humor. In fact, I brought you, let me look for my cute little humor thing here.
Oh, okay. We can always use humor, especially when we talk about tax problems.
That's right. So there's someone went for an advisory opinion with New York State for a bathroom app. It's a free smartphone application that allows users to find a bathroom and get access to a bathroom. There's no charge for the app. There is a charge for the service of using the bathroom. So someone wrote in and said, is it taxable? So my husband says, right, is it exciting? Is it boring? I said, it's the most exciting thing I ever do. Would you believe we did a Google search, and there's actually an app called Sit or Squat Bathroom Finder. And here's what the advisory opinion said. Since there's no charge for the app, there's no sales tax. There is a charge for the bathroom service, but that's not a taxable service. So I find humor in all of this. I think it's fascinating.
There's a way to make money with everything, I guess.
Yeah, and honestly, it's really a way to give people a chance at a better life.
Now, I know things are very interesting. I'm sure you have many, many juicy stories, especially if you're looking through journals. But tell us one that really kind of stands out to you. And you're not obviously not naming names.
No, I would never name names. And actually, because of confidentiality, I really can't disclose much. I certainly can't disclose anything that recently took place. I wouldn't want anybody to go back and look at the records and say, "Oh, that's what she's talking about." I'll tell you something that happened early on in my career.
Okay.
So New York State can seize your place. And in fact, I always bring my orange seized sign. It's a sticker that they put on, let's say.
I've seen that
Right,
before,
you've seen it.
yeah.
So if they're going to close down a restaurant, they often say, if you don't give me a certain amount of money by Monday, we're going to padlock your place. And so we come in and we negotiate, and we'll say, look, we can't give you that much money by Monday.
Right.
If we had it, we would have paid it. But let's negotiate. Let's enter into some agreement. We'll pay you a little bit down. We'll pay you a little bit over time. We'll make it feasible. But when early in my career, they seized a place that had an used car dealership and a used boat dealership. Oh. It was next door to a regular a new car dealership. In those days, New York State was not really taking away certificates of authority. Now they would revoke one in the following situation. New York State cannot sell property that doesn't belong to the taxpayer. So New York State seized this used car dealership and came in and said, we're going to have an auction. So here we are. I'm a young attorney, not much experience. They have a camera there to witness what's going on. And the auctioneer starts to sell the cars and the boats and the desks, the fax machines, the phones, etc.
Wow.
I say, wait a minute. let's stop the auction for a second. Again, I'm very young. And I said, I understand that you have personal liability, each and every state employee, if you sell property that's not yours.
Right.
So I want to tell you that the landlord owns the desk, the fax machines, et cetera, et cetera. They stopped it. Oh, and then I go over with a pad and a pen, and I ask each employee, New York State employee, can I have your personal home address? So they stop the auction, and they take a big red tape, and they put it around the desks and the chairs and the phones, et cetera. And they go and sell the cars and the boats.
Right.
Would you believe the next day, the guy who was the responsible person started all over again? He went back to the same landlord, changed the name of the company, and got new used cars and new used boats, and still had the same desk, phone number, and fax machine and everything in those days. Could you believe that? Now, the auction process is fascinating to watch, and New York State charges the taxpayer for all the expenses. So it costs a few $1,000s to hire the auctioneer and the videographer and to do all of these things. Half the time, you don't even recoup the expenses. You're certainly not reducing the tax liability by that much, depending on what is sold and what the prices are. But I found that fascinating. Again, in those days, New York State didn't do what they would do now. Now they would say, you can't have a certificate of authority. You don't have the right to
So they wouldn't be able to come back.
To reopen, right. The same person is pyramiding debt, and that's not what they want.
You are listening to Tower Talk Business Radio on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. I'm Ray Schwetz, along with Donyshia Boston-Hill, and our guest today is Karen Tenenbaum of Tenenbaum Law PC Tax Attorneys. Now, tell us a little bit about your team. Tell us a little bit about your team.
Oh, I have the most amazing team. And I always say that you need a good team. I think Nell Merlino, who started Take Your Daughter to Work Day and Count Me In, Make Mine $1 million, said you could have it all, you just can't do it all yourself. And I have the most amazing team. So I created an organizational chart many years ago, and I said, where do I want to be a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now? Oh, I'd love a whole financial team. I'd love a sales team, a marketing team. I would love an administrative team, a great office manager. And I said, why wait? And I have to, and a great legal team. So I have to say, I really work with wonderful people, experienced. They're just very empathetic and compassionate. Because again, we're in an area when you're dealing with people with tax problems. Some people owe a lot of money, and they're having financial struggles. And it's this, again, it's their business, it's their livelihood, and how are they going to sleep at night? And so you need an attorney and an administrative person that really is going to make them feel good and feel comfortable that we're going to help solve the problem.
It's pretty awesome that you even think of those details because, you know, I'd be so focused doing what you do on helping solve the problem. Not only are you focused on that, but it's every detail you're covering, making sure that your client feels comfortable. I think that's wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now, tell us a little bit about work you do in financial literacy.
So because you see what happens when people get into tough positions financially, I said, you know what? I want to help the next generation. How can I teach young children to not necessarily get into the same problems that their parents did? I have two daughters, 27 and 29, and when the oldest one was approximately 5 years old, about the age of your daughter, we went into a shoe store and they had a cute little vending machine, and she said, "Oh, Ma, can I have a quarter?" So we put a real quarter in the machine, and out came a plastic ball, and in it was a fake quarter. So she put a real quarter in, she got a fake quarter out, and she thought she got good value. And I said, "Oh my God, I'm a CPA, I'm an attorney. How am I going to teach this kid the value of money?" And we eventually found out about a program in Florida called Enterprise Village. We called the principal of the school there, and he was so nice. He said, "Come on down." I got involved with my school, and it was a school-to-work partnership. 9 school districts went for a grant from the New York State Department of Education. They sent me to Florida. It looked like a miniature Roosevelt Field with a lot of businesses. And who was running the business? 5th graders. 10-year-old kids,
wow.
or I guess 12-year-old kids, and they were phenomenal. They took ownership of this, and they really learned how to run a business. And I said, why are we not doing this on Long Island? So I started a nonprofit. I was a co-founder with someone else, and we started something called Commerce Plaza. It's now run by Yes Community Counseling. We have a standalone building in Levittown that's run by Yes, and I think over 60,000 children have gone through the program. We had to be we ended up getting about $1.5 million from New York State. It wasn't just for us. It was shared among the 9 school districts. But the goal was to be separately incorporated after 5 years. So I was the first president of the organization. And then we donated it to Yes Community